As you know, tech layoffs have been on the rise, and you might not think that they're going to affect you, but they are. It's going to happen. Your business, if you have a business and relying on tech worker, you're going to be in for a rude awakening. I got some numbers, and hopefully, you're not going to be in the same boat as I was and had to close up shop because of it. Okay, so let's jump into the numbers. In 2024, there were approximately, as of May, about 49,762 workers that got laid off of tech. And now they're like, oh, okay. So I know they got probably all these tech people, probably like my wife, but she was laid off last year, so she doesn't even count into that statistics, get severance, right? So they got severance, they're good for another few months, but it's going to be coming. It's going to be coming to a store near you. So what do I mean by that is that in Glassdoor, each tech worker made about $65,536, what I think is very, very low. But that's just a salary number out there that I could find and easily to Google. I think it's a lot more. And so, what do I mean by it's going to come hit you if you have a small business or doing something like it? Because you're probably dependent on workers that come to you. Like here, I got a little picture right here that says you're going to be going to get lunch as a tech worker. You're going to be commuting. You're going to get breakfast. You're going to get parking. And what does all that have to do with tech workers layoffs, right? Well, businesses, it's an ecosystem. And when people tell me, oh, it's all doom and gloom, no, it's actually just the numbers. And I'm a numbers guy. So what do I mean by that? Is that when you, as a tech worker, get laid off, all of a sudden you're not commuting. You're not going to get breakfast at Starbucks. You're not going to go out for lunches. So what else is there? So you're going to stay home. You're going to do something else, right? You try to do something. And the ball just comes to a halt because your life shattered. You don't have another job lined up, most likely because it's so hard in this economy. And now you're looking at it like, okay, what am I going to do? So you got to find another job. But you, as a tech worker, have the luxury of finding another job. That small business owner does not have the luxury to find another job because he signed leases 5, 10 years, whatever it was, right? So when you say that it's not going to affect you, that's not correct because it's going to affect you. And when stuff like that happens, when all these layoffs are coming due, it's going to shake your world if you're a small business owner. And if you are in a government job, if you're working for the federal government, if you're a police officer, you're not that much dependent on it because you make money from tax, you're getting paid from the government and, tax revenue and whatnot. So you're not in this. So if you're going to leave me a comment and say, you don't know what you're talking about, still leave it because that helps me out. But for most people, it's detrimental because, and I'm going to tell you why, because when the tech worker's going to get laid off, there's going to be a ripple effect, right? So, and I'm trying to explain that to people that haven't been a business or that haven't had closed their business like me. So once you had to close your business, you let employees go, then they can't spend their money. And so then they're going to not spend their money. And so when you look at that, it's like, okay, what does that mean? So when I had my frozen yogurt shop, and it went out of business, my employees were high school kids, and what they bought with their money was nails at Sephora. They went and eat out and did cool things like that with their money. And when that came to a stop, they either had to find another job and they couldn't spend their money, so that got pulled out of the economy again, right? So me paying them $500, $600, $700 or $1,000, how many hours they worked plus tips, actually related into a few other businesses also not making that money. So let's say that I paid them $1,000. They went to Sephora for $20, $30. They went to Ulta for another $50. And do you see how this is starting to make a ripple effect, right? So all these people that are pulling back are then costing other industries to have a ripple effect, right? So then all of a sudden Ulta sees, oh, we're not getting as many makeup and hair extensions sold. So that means we don't need to have that many trucks going to that store. So that means we can dial back, lay people off because we don't have that volume. We don't need to have as many truck drivers. So then the truck drivers gets laid off. And then all of a sudden you're in a recession because everybody's pulling back, right? And that is horrible, horrible, horrible for all these people because I never wish on anybody to be in a recession, right? So you got to be really careful with what you say because your feeling about the economy is super location dependent, right? You might be in Michigan doing Ford's Ford plant and what that. But then now car prices are so high, interest rates are high, so your thing got shook, right? And now in Michigan, where you're at, when you left your house in the morning, you're like, I get my morning Starbucks, I get my morning coffee. Now that barista, if it wasn't an independent store or even a Starbucks, has to pull back. And it's a whole economy down the road that people are not thinking about because they're just saying, oh, in my area, it's great. Or, like, oh, I'm in the hospitality or something, and I'm in a location where we always have tourists because of rich people. That is correct till now. But in the future, because also rich people own businesses, right? So when rich people own businesses and their business isn't doing as well, they need to dial back. And I've seen a lot of businesses, actually business owners, dial back not what they receive, what they didn't cut their pay. Maybe they did a little bit, but some of them just cut their, the hours of employees, had less people coming to the store. And so they can still kind of make their margins because they need to pay landlords rent and whatnot. But then on the other hand, if you're not one of these like top 10%, and if you're just a small business owners, you can't even make rent. Because go watch my other video where I pulled an article that said 45% of small business owners can't make rent. That's true. Everything's so expensive now. And when you think about how that all started is probably with layoffs in that field that you were actually working in. So when you thinking about saying like, hey, the economy's doing great, then I'm asking you, what sector are you in? Are you a tenured seasoned professor, or are you somewhere where there's a system in place that you're not prone to market changes, right? There's federal jobs that, or you work in the military or you're a contractor for the military, and those probably don't have that market changes. But let me know in the comments if that is true, if you feel that is true. I only know one federal contractor that does for the military, and I think it's about the contracts you bid on, not the economies per se. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it is detrimental for most people. And when I think about all these small business owners, that is all they know. So then you gotta then there's like two options if these small businesses go out of business. They're gonna have to find a job or somehow start a new business. And I love the idea of them just, getting a job, but they've been so independent. They've been, running their own business. They might not have the qualifications or whatnot. And so there's no training or per se something like it where they can just redo or just retrain themselves. And so that's going to have serious implication into the economy with all these business owners and all these people that worked for them, right? And in some cases, even they're going to lose their house, they're going to lose their livelihood. And it's just because we did not, as Americans, we did not manage and budget. According to Jamie Dimon, watch my video, it was like the least viewed one, probably because YouTube didn't show it to people, because they're like, hey, Jamie Dimon's great. He's one of our allies, so it probably didn't show it to people because I wasn't very happy about what he said, that Americans still have stimulus money to mess around with. Let me know in the comments if you are one of these people that still have if you still have stimulus going on, because I think most people have nothing. Not that I know. I didn't even get stimulus, so yeah, COVID money, whatnot, didn't even qualify for anything. So I don't know who got it or if it was all fraud. And These people that did get it are now in jail because I've seen, you know, influencers promote stuff and getting 8, 9, $10 million in PPP loan that went to jail and all that. And these people that actually need it, like my business, didn't qualify for anything. So it's really, really crazy. And when you say stuff like, it's not going to affect me, maybe it didn't because you have a job that's really secure and you don't have to worry about it, or it just haven't hit you yet. Because sometimes people are on stimulus checks. No, not stimulus. Sometimes people are on, what do you call it? What do you call it when you get laid off and you get a package, like a layoff package or something, where you sign the rights to not sue and they'll give you severance. They'll give you a severance package. So you're not going to see that money. You're not going to see that stopping right away because you still have some. And area dependence is also huge. But for most people, most business owners, it's going to be detrimental. And like I said, mortgage rates are on the rise. Credit card debt's on the rise. Credit card interest is on the rise. So it's all going into the wrong direction. It's not going down where we have more money to spend. It's going into the other direction. So when we're looking at what it needs is we need to pause the interest rate hike because we want to do it. So we actually need to lower them so company will hire again and kind of, give people jobs. Because if they're going to not get people jobs, then that money's going to be pulled out of the economy again. And these people that work at, parking lots, that clean the parking lots, um, that service the parking lots, that paint the stripes on the parking lots, the things that you don't really think of are going to be impacted because everything has to do with a lifespan and volume, right? So you don't need to paint these stripes right here on the ground if you have no traffic going through them, right? Then they're going to be good for years. But if you have heavy traffic going through them, you need to repaint them more often, right? These stripes right here. And that is all scheduled, through the company that manages and says, hey, we have so much traffic coming through here every 5 years, we need a payment. But now you're looking at it like, hey, we have so much less traffic, so we don't need to paint them in 5 years. So that means the painters that expected something, that expected that money isn't gonna paint. So yeah, really inconsiderate saying stuff like that. And let me know if you agree or not. Um, I'm pretty I love to have a conversation about it in the comments. So let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one.